Whoa.
The Martians have landed.
Really?
There we go.
Sorry.
The train got some good brakes.
I already know the discrepancy in the minutes. We talked about this earlier, just to let you know, and they have been fixed.
Okay. Well, I thought I went through them quite well, or thoroughly this morning, but,
So we're on.
oh, we're on.
We're on.
Okay. Thank you, Race. Good evening. Welcome to the July 21st Hartland Selectboard meeting. Our first order of business are the minutes from June 30th. I would entertain a motion to accept those.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jim. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Trace. Any discussion?
So it's the second, so you think so?
Yeah. It was noted that the minutes did not include a second. So who made the motion but not the second, and a couple of instances. So
Okay.
rewatched the recording. There was some background noise, so it was a little tricky to pick up in that recording. So, but they've been caught, and we got them.
Well, thank you for picking that up. Again, I took a look at these and I didn't pick up on that, but I thought they were pretty good. Tom, you set?
All set.
All in favor, say aye. Moving on to the warrants or the accounts payable through today, July 21st. Again, I would entertain a motion to accept them.
So moved.
Thank you, Tom. A second.
A second.
Thank you, Jim. Any discussion?
Yep.
Just the one number that caught me off guard was for the cost of the solid waste district. It's like 31K.
Yep, that's right.
That's pretty standard, plus people have to buy stuff.
Those, which is separately in the invoices.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just caught me by surprise that it was that expensive.
I highlighted that as well, Jim. So that's an annual membership?
No, that's to pay for the bridge that you folks voted to allow to be built.
But it's not a choice to add that to the budget.
Right.
Yeah.
That is
It's not a
correct.
membership. Yeah.
It is not.
Yeah. Membership's probably not the right word.
Right word.
Okay. And that is an annual fee?
Till 2032.
Okay.
Which bridge is it on?
The one across the interstate that goes to Twin State? That's the road.
Quarry Road.
Quarry Road,
Right.
that's right.
Top of Miller Hill when you go out the interstate.
So allows us the backside of Mill Street too.
It gets a lot of usage.
That's just out of curiosity, is the bridge before or after the gate?
Before the gate.
So you cross the bridge first, then you get to the gate?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Correct.
because there are residences before you get to the bridge.
This goes basically right through the middle of the
And think to be, when you turn onto Quarry Road, there are houses there.
Yeah.
in Hartford. Yeah, right.
And that's in Hartford.
Right.
Just a comment, I'm happy to see the crack ceiling. I don't know who that company is, but the fact that we're doing that, that's part of the maintaining the roads. So
It
thank you
is.
for that, and thank you to BJ.
All right. Go ahead. Highlighted stuff. So some of the, and I'm sorry, I used a fancy thing here. I said I was very proud of myself. I highlighted everything. So we have some expenses here that are from like the third quarter of last year.
Last year, they're marked as last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how are you closing out the books for the audit?
And she came in and did her preliminary for 3 days, and she'll finish the audit in August, because everything will be in by then.
Oh, okay, so they will be in.
Yes,
Right.
she does her checks of.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, we're going through that right now ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you think that was pretty much it?
But those expenses aren't gonna change your overall budget forecast for last year.
For last year, no.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
We're on track with the sheriff's department.
Yep.
10,000 or whatever it
Yep.
was per month.
Yep, that's
kind of
the monthly.
Okay.
And I assume the fee for the audit is the preliminary fee, the 3,000? Or is
Right.
that the fee for, yeah.
Right, that's not the total fee.
Okay. Any other questions? You're still searching?
Did we already do the auditor's contract? We already approved it?
Not for the next year, not yet. We did it for this year. For this year.
Right,
We're in FY26 now.
right.
Right.
For FY26, did we already approve? Like, there's a process we go through to approve.
We signed
Did you sign an engagement letter for next year?
No, I believe we do that after we get the audit, if I recall correctly, in fall. So we'll get the audit report.
Right, but we need a contract with the auditor to do the work in August and September, right?
This like,
This current.
yeah, we have a contract for this. Yes, we do.
And that's something we approved a few months ago.
A few months ago, or late
I'm only
24.
asking because my memory is poor.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
pretty much right around the time we get the final audit, they're ready to sign us up.
We signed a new engagement letter, correct.
All in favor of the warrants through today, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Is there anything you have?
No, I have nothing.
Okay. Moving on to public comments. Yes, sure.
Little follow-ups. On May 19th, it was said that the road signs were going to be ordered for Station Road. What's the process with that? Are they, because they're not out yet?
I can follow with BJ. Occasionally, they wait until there's a collection of them to put up, and they take a day to do it. So, but I'll follow up.
Okay, all right, well, he's been out, so.
He's back.
Oh,
They're back working.
all right. And then do you have an update on the dog warrant? What's going on with the constable with that?
So it's the constable and animal control officer have the dog warrant. I believe they've been doing some door knocks. Cheyenne, I'm looking to you as the assistant clerk. Like we're starting to see some folks trickle in.
Yes, yeah, we've been reaching out to people and we have a list. And every time those people come in, so I cut them off, but it's been working.
Good.
We've been getting people.
Because I was just wondering, that when you start collecting fees, if they're not at the end of the 90-day period, what do you do? What's the plan then?
Sorry, repeat your question. Sorry.
So they have 90 days.
Correct.
So what's the plan after 90 days when it's still some remaining owners that have not?
Well, I think we'll have to see. I mean, the dog warrant's been out. We approved it in early June.
So yeah,
Mid-June?
usually the 1st of September.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think we're
90 days.
I don't think we're quite there yet. So we'll see how many are left on the list. If it's a handful, then I think we revisit the knocking on the doors and moving that forward. If it's a significant number, then I think we can have a different conversation with those folks.
Yeah, because there are some fees here that can be.
Yep.
Or.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Bryce, anyone online for public comments?
No.
No? Okay.
Nope.
I would just like to do a brief thank you to John and Mason at the Rec Department, the Rec Committee, all the vendors, and the many people that helped and participated in the 4th of July Old Home Days. So I've asked John to set up a debriefing meeting so that we can go over any issues that emerged and build an even better Old Home Days for next year. Moving on to old business. A Four Corners building update.
Sure.
John.
So this is just, kind of high level. There's a couple things that have happened. One, we got the report back from the Division of Fire Safety, the electrical inspector's report. We today got a report back from a home inspector that Windsor Early Childhood Education hired. They did the work last Friday, and then we got the report today. We also got the results back from some radon testing that the home inspector had done or subcontracted out. The Division of Fire Safety report came back with kind of the handful of things that we expected it to do, swapping out some switches to GFCIs if they're near the sink and things like that in bathrooms. Swapping out some guardrails, little things like that. The radon report came back fine. Essentially, there's not a radon issue. And then the home inspector report did call out a number of other things, and I can share it with folks. It's rather extensive, and again, we just got it late this afternoon. It calls out some bigger ticket items that I think the town will have to start to look at. The roof, there's some siding issues that probably need to be addressed at some point. But again, we have a rec center, an activity center maintenance line. I think we might need to look at increasing that, especially if we're going to start looking at things like the roof. And I'm continuing to work to Clay Point Associates to get them in the building for lead and asbestos testing. And they said that's a couple weeks out. So, we expect to have those results turned around pretty quickly.
And is there certain requirements that the Windsor folks want to see done before they would move in based upon the inspection report?
We have not had that conversation. Some of the things from fire safety are must-dos.
Yes, I understand that.
So those are all kind of small things. I think either Rob or we can hire a local contractor to do some of that work. Well, when it gets to be the bigger things like the roof, right? Yeah, we haven't had that conversation. They haven't said you must do this before we take this.
Do you have you had any recent correspondence with the Windsor Early Education Childcare?
I spoke with the director about 2.5 weeks ago, right before I left. They are waiting until they get the results from the lead and asbestos testing before moving forward with the purchase and sale with the existing building and with signing a lease with the town.
Okay. And do we have a lease to look at tonight?
Yes, we'll get to it. Yeah. Okay. So there was a movement at the last meeting to extend the lease with Val until December 31st of this year. Essentially just moving it 6 months out to give the process time to work through.
Okay. Where is that on the agenda?
We'll cover it in my update, in the town manager update.
Okay.
But we approved it previously.
Correct.
Is it like a formality?
It's a sign, because we signed one and then we made some minor language changes. So this is just a signing and an updated lease.
Right. Good. Okay. Any other questions or?
And it's worth noting, I just want to follow up because the questions come up. We are not required to sprinkle the building. It is not a requirement from the Division of Fire Safety.
Well, that's a relief.
It depends on how they have to put kids of certain ages on certain floors of the structure. So.
Okay. Then moving on, Three Corners intersection lights. In our packet, we have materials on essentially two different lights. As I looked at it, there were different battery capacities. These are all solar lights. And I've made some requests to John, but I'll turn it over to John to walk us through the materials.
Yep. So again, there's essentially two quotes. We had been working with an electrical designer who then, once we came up with essentially a semi-set plan, passed us off to an electrical contractor who works out of Maine. And these are two quotes for solar lights. And they both provide the same amount of lumens. I think it's the battery storage. And talking with the contractor, they strongly recommend that we go with the larger battery storage option, given the cold climate, to make sure that we have enough power to get us through, February and March, basically. What is missing from your packet, and the missing component here, is we don't know what these look like installed. I've asked them to provide pictures of these lights installed on the ground and how they look. So as soon as I get those pictures, we can move forward.
But the tops and the lights are what's represented in the.
That's my guess. Yeah. I mean, again, I think we just need to it's hard to make a determination of how those lights will look from a spec sheet. It'd be nice to see what they look like. I believe it's my understanding that Keene, New Hampshire has some installed in the small section of downtown. So.
Yeah, it would be nice if we knew where we could actually physically see.
Right, so that's the request that's gone out.
Yeah.
It's worth noting that this is about 8 to 10 weeks of lead time. This could still be done in fall of this year, but we cannot kind of delay this decision too much longer. So once we get those pictures, we'll probably revisit this conversation at the first meeting in August. Go ahead, Phil.
John, I'm sure they'll do it, but since there are variations in the packet on poles and the two fixtures, make sure they identify what we're looking at.
Right, yes,
pictures.
of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I Googled this to try to see photographs.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find.
Yeah, no.
Couldn't find anything at all.
Yeah.
And I think that I also tried to see if there was a way to get like a more historic head than this, and what I found was we could not.
Right, I think because going with the solar options, it does limit our the ability to choose aesthetic lights.
The rectangular head is what's on Sykes Avenue there.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to look.
Yeah,
It's a good thing, focus on the task at hand.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Okay. So we have progress, but we actually have some quotes, but until we get to more, we actually see what it looks like. I don't think there's much discussion here tonight.
It's just worth noting that the one quote is slightly over what the town allocated for funding.
The other is slightly under.
Slightly under, right.
So,
I thought we allocated like 150. How much do we allocate?
I think there was a motion in town meeting 24 to allocate $100,000 from that was the.
So while you look at that, I've asked on several occasions, can we get an accounting of the sources and uses on the intersection project? All our costs, other sources.
So we can do, I don't know what the minutes are in this off the top of my head. Yes, so essentially you're looking for like a financial review of the Three Corners project.
Yeah, what did it cost, and when, like, I know we got some grant money, we got some bond money, we got some town money.
Yep.
Just.
We did maybe 4 months ago, I think, because there was
not a full one. Because I thought we didn't have all the costs in last time we did it.
well, we have that. Who was the vendor that came in late?
It took us a while to get all the utilities set. So Comcast, First Light, and VTEL all came in quite late. But once we got those bills in, we did revisit it as a discussion point. I don't recall the exact name. I can look at the.
We've already done it. If you just want to email it to me.
Yeah. Yeah, we did that because there was a talk about.
It's surprising me, James.
I feel like we did it at the meeting, and now I'm wondering maybe it was a meeting that you weren't here.
Right, that might be the issue. So I can look at that.
Just email it to me. Let me see. Yeah. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then moving on, the next item is the Quechee Road, the ditching project on the ditching road, which is part of the larger Quechee Road project.
Right. So earlier in the spring, there was a discussion amongst the board and a desire to move forward with some small component of the significantly larger Quechee Road project. including kind of doing some ditching work to help get water off the road, because the drainage is causing the issue. So if we can do some ditch work, it will prevent the work from the road from deteriorating quicker than it already is. So BJ reached out to a couple of local contractors to see who was available to do the work. You'll see that there's a quote from D&D Excavating and one from Green Mountain Flagging. They'll need flaggers on either end of that project, and we don't have the staff to do the flagging ourselves. So you'll see it's about $50,000 in total. I think the decision was to move forward with this project, potentially using the unencumbered fund balance that the town is holding right now, which the balance is about $675,000.
The highway fund or the general fund?
Unencumbered fund balance.
John, you included the purchasing policy here. If you want to step through that.
I did include the purchasing policy because of the time-sensitive desire to get the work done. It would be my recommendation that we go through with this as a sole source purchase, precluding the need for us to go out to bid for the work. I spoke with the auditor about it, and they are okay with moving forward in this path.
But he called multiple vendors.
He did call multiple vendors.
He meant that it's not sole source then.
Well, we simply didn't go. We didn't post an RFP on the website. Right. We didn't open it up. We're essentially hiring a local contractor who has the ability to do the work this summer.
I'm okay with it as long as it's clear as far as what we want them to do.
Right, exactly. Yeah, right. The bid is somewhat somewhat lacking.
Yeah.
So it's a little detail light.
Yes. Right.
But no, they visited the site. They're aware of the expectations.
We want to spend a couple extra bucks and ask the engineer from Pathways to give us some ideas as far as what he might suggest we do, or where we go, or how do we know how to proceed here?
So I think the plan was to kind of start on one end, work our way down, come down to the end, turn around and go back.
But that's 12 miles, they're gonna do 12 miles?
Not all of it needs ditching, though.
Are they gonna do the spots of like?
Correct.
Can you define ditching? Because as Tom points out, we're talking about ditches, and then we're also talking about culverts.
So there's no culverts are being replaced as a part of this. This is simply, getting the water off of the road. Right now, it can sit in certain spots because the road side is higher. So taking that off, so there's not in essence a berm on the side of the road, so the water can get into the ditch and off of the pavement. So again, it's not 12 miles of road. There's driveways, there's streams, there's wetlands, there's all sorts of things. And it doesn't all need the work.
And they will, some of the areas there's ledge, so they'll remove the ledge.
I don't know that they're going to be removing the ledge, right? So that's a larger project. That's part of the road reconstruction work. This is simply the step one to prevent the road from getting significantly worse faster than it already is.
So they're pretty much just cleaning ditches.
They're basically cleaning ditches, but which is outlined in the report that we got from Pathways as a cause of what's causing, what's hurting the road.
Some of those ditches are on the Two Rivers list of slopes that have hydraulically connected brooks. There's 1, 2, 3 brooks just up by me that go into the Quechee. Will they be using the appropriate state requirements for size stone and so on and so forth?
So we'll double check, and we can use, if there's a need to put stone in some of these ditches, we can use grants and aid money.
So that does not.
But I'm just $46,000.
You're not getting that.
Right, this isn't stone, right?
This is a stopgap measure to take down the berms,
Exactly.
go out the water to drain.
This is
all that heavy duty stuff is going to be part of the overall project.
Sure. Well, what I am worried about, Jim, is that there's a couple of sections that have stone in them now. And we know that anyone in Vermont that figures out how to clean those ditches while leaving the stone in. But I don't know what they're going to do there.
Right. There might be areas
to be clear about what's happening.
Exactly. So we can, run down that with the contractor.
Okay.
Prior to them starting to work.
Okay.
So what do you need from us today?
Because we didn't put out an RFP, I would like a motion to approve the contract that was in your packet to D&D Excavating for $36,000, along with the proposal from Green Mountain Flagging.
For what, 1139?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there, so it seems as though there's a difference of opinion between what the engineering firm said and what the town highway personnel said regarding clogged culverts. Can we somehow get some of these culverts after we clean the ditch unclogged?
I think it will help and might happen a little bit on its own, yes. We also have an excavator that we have rented for the next couple of months that is doing work, which can go around and following the ditch work, clean out the snouts and make those culverts hopefully flow a little better, or flow.
And what do we do in situations where it's actually clogged with silt and leaves and so on? Do you use the fire department?
We can ask the fire department if they have the ability to do that for us, yes.
I just would hate to see us clean out these ditches, but the water can't get into the culverts.
Right.
So it's just backing up.
Right, yeah.
I'm not trying to be a pain about this, but it just seems as though if we're doing a certain thing, maybe make this a little bit more comprehensive and just fix some of the stuff because it just seems as though there's a difference of opinion.
Right, I mean,
I agree.
cleaning out a culvert is fine. I don't think you want to replace any culverts because.
No, just clean them.
Right,
It's just
exactly.
look inside, see if there's, see if you
Maybe
can,
that's part of the first phase here is to just do the inventory of how many are clogged. Then you can circle back when needed to clear them out.
I think we all have a lot of opinions here. The work the town did on Brothers Road just north of me looked really good, but I just walked today and those culverts are already, the silt is already come back in and cover them. So I would want this work to be the best that it can be for $36,000. And the second observation I had is we're going to send our own crew out there. Can we do it at the same time in conjunction with D&D so that the flaggers are flagging for our work as well?
So it would depend on their schedule, right? We have paid to have an excavator in Hartland, so that takes 2 people off of the road crew automatically, right? Because we're doing our own ditch maintenance and other roads. If we have a person in the grader at the same time, that only leaves basically a person and a half available to do this type of work. So if we can make it all, if we can coordinate it to the best of our ability, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I would just request that would be considered.
Right.
Okay. From a safety perspective and the fact that we're spending that money on flaggers on the floor. Any more Monday morning quarterbacking or observations for how do we do this?
Mr. Tancredi's quiet about this.
I was driving through South Woodstock the other day and saw their fire department cleaning culverts with their fire truck. I think it's a reasonable request.
Yeah, no, they've been great about helping out in the past.
So last week on the Jenningville Road, there was a guy from Two Rivers doing a survey.
Updating our culvert inventory, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if they've done anything.
They are, I don't know where they are, but they're taking an inventory of all the culverts in town.
Yeah. And suggesting to removing berms too, I guess.
So
what he said.
Oh, well, that's not what I thought they were doing. They're taking an inventory of all the culverts. They're giving them, in essence, a grade, and we can use that to prioritize maintenance in the long term.
And I did see a surveyor on the roads today. Hartland Brownsville Road and Weed Road.
A surveyor?
Yes. Surveying the road.
Yeah.
Why? Is that by us?
That is not by us.
Not by us?
Older guy in a pickup truck?
Yes.
That'd be the same one I saw. He's doing, it says road survey, but he's checking the culverts and the.
Oh, this is the Two Rivers summer.
Two Rivers guy.
This is the Two Rivers summer.
Yeah, summer intern.
Summer intern, retired guy. Yeah.
Hey.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Gets poison
Okay.
Look all that happy. It's not there.
Any other questions observations about the Quechee Road work? Okay. Moving on to new.
Well, no, it's a motion.
So I'll make a motion that we approve $36,000 to be in the excavating to do the addition work on Quechee Road.
We're gonna do two motions then, or you're gonna include the flagger? Second one? I second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'll make a motion that we approve $1,139.11 to pay Green Mountain Flagging for the flagging for the same project.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Clyde. Thank you, Jim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to the fiscal year 25 budget update. We have information in our packet, and I think John and Martin are going to step through it.
So in your packet, you have 3 sheets, our pared down budget update. So first page is revenue, then the general fund, and then the highway fund. I will just say that as of the unaudited end of the year, we ended the year in pretty good shape. We're going to start by showing a deficit, but that's largely due to delinquent taxes. If we are able to collect those delinquent taxes, we should end the year with a small surplus, basically right on budget.
In this past year.
Sorry, the fiscal year ending June 30, 2025. Correct. So I think that's positive news. So Martin, do you want to give a little more detail to that?
Absolutely. So under revenues, if you see the general fund revenues up 173%, the major revenues on that was from the investments. We budgeted $10,000 and we received $84,600 in investments. So that's the bulk of the revenue. Our 8% penalty for filing the HS 122 late was $13,000, and our delinquency 8% was $12,000. So the 3 of those are the main drivers of our revenues being above the 165. As you can see, the rec department also had a good year. They are above their revenues are up. And it pretty much hit all the categories: after school program, summer program, teen adventures. So as you can see, revenues as a whole in the general fund were above what we budgeted. The highway department, grants and aids is $52,000. That's 2 fiscal years. We didn't get paid the last fiscal year, so that's why it's not 32,000, it's 52. We got paid 2 fiscal years this year. You can see we got our storm from July 2023 FEMA money came in for $114,516, and John got a $200,000 paving grant that we used on the Brownsville Road. And under the miscellaneous, $10,000 of it was a grant from the state of Vermont, and the difference is the highway department cleaned out the pit of metals, and that's what the extra money in there is. From the metal from that they finally had a chance to clean out. Any questions on the revenues?
What is the library revenue?
So that's going to go back to the library. That's books, coffee, copier. So say you took a book out and you wrecked the book or lost it, you'd reimburse them for the book. They would still have to buy the book. So that's that's what's in there. You're all set, Bill?
I am. I asked a couple of other questions earlier of John, and I got those answers. Any other questions?
In the general fund, as you can see, we're over budget. A lot of the driver of that is, if you look at capital improvements, $462,931. The capital improvements, we spent, I'm sure I get the right category here. We spent $204,000 basically on Damon Hall and the rec center for water, get the water away from the buildings, as we planned on doing. Jennyville Culvert, expenses and revenues have to be kept separate. So Jennyville cost us $225,076 in this fiscal year, but we also got a grant of $190,000. So the expense, that's why the expense shows it's higher, because they have to be kept separate. Fire station, we replaced a furnace at the fire station in North Hartland, and we also spent $23,000 on the Quechee Road study. So that's how I get to the $462,000. That's pretty much one of the main drivers. The other, buildings and grounds, you'll see is over budget also. So we budgeted buildings and grounds salary for the highway department. We moved it to the general fund. So that's why that's out of the line. The budget otherwise, most departments stayed pretty well in budget. So if we take those out, we're actually under budget by 2 or 3% for the year to date in the general fund. Any questions on the general fund?
As I look at the numbers, we've got these pluses and minuses, right? We got more money in, we spent more money, right? But when you look at all the pluses and minuses, it looks to me like we still end up with a surplus in each of the funds, even though they're small surpluses.
I'll circle back to that. The highway fund, if you look at the highway fund, highway fund's a touch over. The bulk of that is the paving. Again, we spent $528,000 in paving. We budgeted $300,000, and we had a $200,000 grant. So we're a little over our budget, but that's the basic driver. And again, the revenues and the expenses are kept separate. We budgeted $260,000, so
we knew doing the paving last summer that we were going to overspend, if you recall the conversation from
we're over that. The equipment fund didn't have the full 160, but we chose to transfer over the 160, which totally makes sense. So that part was over budget a little bit, but we knew that when we did that. But as a whole, the highway department pretty much held its own. Again, they were 1-2% under budget without the overages. So the map that we put out there for this fiscal year was right on track. We were able to stay within the budget for the most part and came in under.
So the three corners intersection for the 84,000, not budgeted, that's just because it was a carryover from previous fiscal years?
So that's what was due. So Fund 44 was the Three Corners project. It was short 84,000 because Comcast was the late bill to come in. So you folks made a motion to close that fund out. So that made the fund whole.
Okay.
So yes, the 84 was the final.
So previously, like before you got here, we had said we were going to take 200,000 and change out of the highway fund to cover Three Corners expense. It turns out we were under budget enough. We didn't need to do that. We didn't owe 200 and whatever thousand. We owed 84,000, which we had in the general fund surplus already. So we didn't take anything out of the highway.
Right, we didn't have to.
So we're well. So yes, the general fund, as Jim was saying, shows about a $14,000 surplus. But our delinquent taxes last fiscal year 24 was 87,000. Our delinquent taxes as of right now is 141,000. So we have till August 30th.
How much of that is current year versus prior years?
That's just this current year. The prior year is 30,000, I think.
So of the 84, we got paid like 50, but we still have 30,000 owed.
Correct.
Is that what that
yes.
is?
Yep. So 141 of this current fiscal year is delinquent when the auditor was in last week. If we somehow collect, whatever we collect now till August 30th, we'll reduce that. So we will show a deficit if we don't collect 141,000, which will reduce the unencumbered fund. But again, we're only talking $60,000 roughly for the difference. But we're we're collecting tax money every week. It's coming in slowly but surely.
So you guys done all your notices?
We've done all the notices. We're working with the attorney and with folks who are coming in to get them on payment plans and bring them current.
So you're optimistic we'll get most of that money back?
I am optimistic that we will get some of that money.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And the highway fund, as you saw, has a surplus of about $55,400. That's unaudited, but I am fairly confident that that's what the surplus is in the highway department, because obviously we paid for FEMA and we didn't get paid till this year, so I'm confident that that's where it's at. So
Maybe the same number.
Martin, where is is it a loader, or it's the loader, not a backhoe that we have on order?
Nope, it's a backhoe.
Backhoe.
It's a backhoe.
it's
Okay.
the backbone. Supposedly it's,
Is that in here?
no, it's 3 weeks from delivery.
Okay,
But it's 3 weeks from taking ownership
okay.
in the town of Hartland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why did you correct, what's it?
Well, delivery-
Ownership versus delivery.
Well, it is, I believe it is.
There's a nuance there.
I believe it is in the state, right? So it came from North Carolina, it's in the state, it goes to Milton Cat, they switch around the controls, they're swapping out the tires, there's a little bit of work, so.
Okay.
And that wouldn't show on here because that's in the equipment fund.
Right.
The only thing it would do is reduce the cash, which isn't on here either.
Okay.
But yeah, you wouldn't see that, but I can show that when it comes in if you would like.
It's challenging with delinquent taxes under new state law.
Yes.
Folks need to be delinquent for 2 years before they can be taken to tax sale. So we are challenged with carrying a lot of delinquent taxes, as all towns are.
And do many people get to close to tax sale, then they pay? Is that the behavior?
That's been a trend.
Yeah,
Even the day of, yeah.
Yeah, we'll send 15 to 20 to Mr. O'Toole, and by the time we get to tax sale, we only have 1 or 2 left.
Is this telling us something that it went from 87,000 to 141,000 in 1 year?
No, that's usually about what happens. Yep, this year we were a little higher. This year, the 8% got charged to roughly $60,000 of delinquent taxes. The last 3 years, we've been running about 400,000. So 60,000 higher this year than the past 3 years.
So even though we can't put it out to tax sale for that, is there anything that prevents us sending a little note to their mortgage holder that they're delinquent?
I don't know that there's something that would prevent us from doing that. It's an interesting question.
Because usually when the bank gets that notice,
They can.
my mortgage has a
twist
clause
a little.
in it that if I go delinquent with my taxes, they're gonna come after me, so. They don't have to wait 2 years.
Right, but Loretta is pretty good right now. Loretta is pretty good about asking for the file to see who is delinquent. Usually March, they ask for the CoreLogic file.
Who's Loretta?
Loretta and
CoreLogic.
They're a service for banks. So you don't want to deal with all the mortgages you have. You ask them, send it out for them to do it.
I would not have known her name either.
Okay. Well, thank you. I look forward to seeing the final version and.
We shall come out, with the audit again in fall.
Yeah.
But I think that the key takeaways are is that we ended the year on a positive note. It's going to show as a small deficit. However, that's delinquent tax related, not actual budget related.
If we can't get the money.
If we can't get the money, but all town departments did a good job of staying on budget this year. We may have a deficit as relates to delinquent taxes. However, where we overspent, we were able to find savings in other areas. So a positive.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
And thank you for being on top of it with those investments. Some of their CDs.
Yeah, 1 CD, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think there was some, lessons learned, for budgets moving forward, right? We did the crack ceiling. We were significantly over the budget line for crack ceiling, but there's a need and a demand, so we will likely try to find that in the highway department next year.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Okay, thank you both. Moving on to the fiscal year 26 tax rate.
Right, so in your packet, you have this sheet. I think in essence, the number to care about is 3.1364. It's down here in the middle. It's the total homestead tax rate, 3.1364, which is up from 2.99 last year. The difference there amounts to just a touch over a 5% tax increase for this coming year. So it's...
What was it last year with the school?
With this,
How much was the tax increase last year?
15 to 16%, somewhere
Yeah,
in
so I
that
thought,
range.
yeah, it was on, yeah.
so on a $100,000 assessed structure, you're talking about $146 increase per $100,000 of assessed value.
For the combined school and town.
Correct. The big discrepancy, if you're looking at it, the non-homestead rate is significantly lower. Town of Hartland, like many towns, chooses to spend a little bit more than the state average in terms of educating students. That's what causes that difference there.
And if we didn't spend more, what would it be? How does that work?
It would bring the tax, right.
The homestead, the school portion number would be lower.
Of that 3.13, essentially of the 5% tax increase, I believe it's like 2.1 or 2.2% was coming from the town. 5.7, 5.8% was coming from the school. Because the school budget is larger, it's pulling that tax increase up to just over 5%. I'm not trying to throw the school under the bus here. It's worth noting that the town budget, the town tax rate is only going up slightly. Other questions on the tax rate? If there's not, you all do have to sign the form, and
No questions, just depression.
Yeah, I worry about, we still have a lot of unresolved school issues in the state, and the fact that, there was how big was the bailout this year? That was kind of thrown into the education fund at the last minute to ease this pain. I don't know what's going to happen next year. I mean, we're on a collision course there, but that's beyond, that's Montpelier, and we need to pay attention to that. So.
Phil and I were talking earlier. I think, at a future board meeting, we might benefit from having John Bartholomew or Elizabeth Burrows come to provide us their feedback on the session, and in particular, the education reform bill that was passed. They might be able to speak to it to a certain degree and update the board.
Okay, you want to circulate that?
Do you want to have a motion to approve the tax rate?
Oh, yeah, detail.
Slight formality here.
What's the proper terminology?
There's the FY26 municipal tax rate.
I make a motion that we approve the fiscal year 26 tax rate.
Why don't you just do homestead and non-homestead, give the amount.
Homestead would be 3.1364, and non-homestead would be 2.6166.
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. I think the ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, Martin. As we wrap up signing this, we're on to the town manager update.
Right. So it's relatively short this week because we've gotten rid of the 550, so there's nothing to discuss. The backhoe remains broken, but there's a new one coming. So this is all like positive news. And so again, Phil mentioned Old Home Days seem to go well by all accounts from what I hear. I was not here, so thanks again to everybody. We are almost through all annual reviews for town staff. It's been a largely a positive experience. I think people have expressed their thanks for having gone through it, so that's good.
And we will tackle John's review in September.
I can do it now.
I think we're supposed to be starting it now.
Right.
And giving it as, so I'll send you guys some information.
I pretty much have what we used in the past. Why don't you and I get back and forth and make sure we got the right forms?
Okay.
Yep.
Great. We are, it's already been talked about, but the first leg of the audit was completed. The auditor will be back in town in a few weeks to do a little bit more, and then we will get the report sometime in early September. We've been talking about the Quechee Road for a while, and I do want to talk about it in a little more detail. So you all approved a little bit of money to do some ditch work. There's been the larger project still exists, right? The $6.4 million project that came from the engineer report that we got last fall. In light of the increased pressures on taxes and the school, I think there's an opportunity to do some work, long-term work without going to a bond. We have been running a surplus for a number of years. There was one year, fiscal year 22, where there was a deficit. But by and large, we've been running a surplus, both in the general fund and the highway fund, for a handful of years now. If we take the past 5 years, we have about $1.2 million in terms of general fund and highway fund surplus that is unallocated and could be used for the Quechee Road. We also have roughly $678,000 in an unencumbered fund balance. What was the ARPA money that came into the town?
But where do you get the 1.5?
So if I look at,
It should be in funds someplace.
there, it's not. We do need to allocate that money at some point.
It would be on the auditor's report that we have it somewhere.
Mark,
Yeah, so what John is saying is, we had a $1.4 million surplus. 700,000 of it is unencumbered from the general fund. 600,000 of it was what we call the ARPA money. And we have 500,000 in the highway fund.
But the ARPA money is the unencumbered balance.
That's
correct.
That's
Correct.
We broke out that 1.4 down to what was actually general fund surplus and
So basically, there's three funding sources.
there's three funding sources.
General fund, highway, ARPA.
right, and the ARPA's been kind of the caveat to do all these other projects.
Right.
But if we bring all three funds together, as John is saying, we can save borrowing that money.
Does that,
I'm struggling to feel like we're counting more than I would think we had. If we looked at the town report, or we looked at the audit report.
No, if you go to the audit report, last year's audit report, page 11 or 12, it's the sideway page, you see the general fund as a 1.4 and the highway is a 460 or $70,000.
Over how many years?
this is from fiscal year 20, going back to fiscal year 21.
I think we ought to review the numbers.
So
I think this is just a
Right,
suggestion
right.
John's making.
So I don't think, I wouldn't go to the bank and say we have $1.4 million. The point being, we have about $1.8 million between those three funds to do work on the Quechee Road. It's worth noting that the ARPA committee especially spells out that they don't want to spend that money on rocks and pavement.
Right.
However, in light of increasing pressures on town and the tax rate continuing to go up, it might be worth revisiting that conversation.
Yeah. We should look at the numbers. I wouldn't want to leave us with no money to fix the buildings.
So no, we do have $300,000 in a rainy day fund as well. So this isn't like draining the town bank accounts. I agree that using all the ARPA money might not be the best choice, but I think using a portion of it could be beneficial. So it would prevent the need to having to go to a bond, which has been discussed.
But we would need to go to the voters.
No, it's an unencumbered fund.
Well, but $2 million isn't going to cover $6 million.
$2 million $2 million is not gonna cover it. If you look at the report that we got from Pathways,
You put more money in every.
we put more money in every year, and so they laid out 4 options, right? Essentially, do nothing, skim coat, cut, and put in some additional material, and the full box cut and replace. We can do just shy of 2 miles of their option number 3 in their report, which is kind of addressing not the worst of the sections, but a large section of essentially very rough road for what at the time was $2.7 million. So that is more than we have available to us, I agree. However, in the RSMS report that we got back from Everett Hammonds, he also spells out that once we do some paving in North Hartland, which is what our plan is for this summer, it's feasible to take a couple of years off from paving and not do anything. So that's $300,000 a year that we could have available to us to put into this pot of money to do work on the Quechee Road, which is moving us closer to that.
You get halfway there.
To that $2.7 million. It's halfway if we don't use any of the ARPA money.
Sure. Let me just clarify something that I heard. What we're talking about is immediate action without going for a bond. But that's only a partial solution, so we would still need to go to the voters, likely, for a bond for the rest of this project.
Likely for the rest of the project, but it would not have to be a $6.4 million or a $4 million bond.
Yeah.
Right? It lessens the impact of the bond, and we could potentially wait a year to do that bond.
Right. So I think my struggle is, there's a lot of pieces here where money's coming from, right? And a lot of things we have to worry about fixing beyond just Quechee Road.
Right.
And we need, it's like that capital plan.
Right.
The capital program.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that we have reserve buckets for the other things that need to be fixed before we dump it all.
I think to interpret what John's trying to say, though, is there's no immediate need to go for a bond. We have excess funds. I think we'll leave it to John and Martin to sort of come up with a plan that we can do. Obviously, it sounds like we're going to need a new roof at the 4 corners. So I think we'll all take that into consideration. But one of the things we had talked about probably 6 months ago is we were going to do this outreach program to go to bond at town meeting, and it sounds like
we can wait.
Let's wait.
Right. I don't think there's a need to do that right now.
Right. And
we get the plan together,
I think,
and we put it on the ballot.
I think conceptually it sounds like a good idea to me. Just,
Right. So there's 2 questions. One, whether we want to go to the ARPA committee and see if they want to, or the town, to see if we could use potentially some of the ARPA money or the unencumbered fund balance.
I think it's our decision.
It is.
We can put it in, have a public hearing and do whatever.
The only reason I mentioned it is because there was a committee and there was a report that was done. I don't think it would behoove the town to take that report, set it aside, and spend $600,000.
So I think I'm with you. We're not doing a special town meeting to do a bond this calendar year.
Right, sure.
Fine.
Sure.
We need the financial plan.
Right.
We need to know where the pushes and pulls are.
So I think we wait until we get the audit report for this year. But again, I think there's a path to do a significant amount of maintenance and work on the Quechee Road without having to bond for it, which is a huge benefit to the town.
Right, and this is work that is not a shim coat. This would be, actually beginning to address the issue. And I totally agree that we need to finish the capital plan to make sure we understand where these other weak points are that we should be looking at. And then, Tom, like you, I like this idea that gets us going. The road, which I travel all the time, is not improving. At all, and Martin, you as well. So I think what I'm hearing is we would like to explore this more, and it probably would be good for us to invite the past members of the ARPA committee to join us in a discussion and let us explain to them what we have used the ARPA money for already.
Right.
So that's quite significant. and we have addressed a number of things on the list and what we're talking about now.
But I think we do that if we decide we're really using ARPA money, and we're not keeping that for the other projects.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's just, it's an extra meeting, an extra,
So we're not gonna do anything till next summer. I think we should,
but we gotta be prepared to go up to bid in December.
well, I think we need to do
Yeah.
the bid in the fall. But I think we also should probably have a discussion of this at town meeting. Whether we're asking for permission or not, we're spending a lot of money.
Right.
You know, it's,
And it also would be
like
one more step.
15% of our budget, isn't it, or whatever.
Yeah.
More
So,
than that, yeah.
I mean, I'm not afraid.
No, you have to do something at town meeting.
No,
Well, we don't have to, but I think as far as good government and transparency,
Absolutely.
which we seem to be lacking in this country, you know,
No, I agree with you. And that something might just be, here's our plan, or it might be, we looked at the plan and we need to finish up the plan.
no, I'm not, that's not.
I think there's work to be done in summer 2026 without a bond. I do think the bond remains on the table for fall of 2026 to do more work in 2027.
Right, but if that's the case, you want to approve it in March,
We could go to bonds.
so we can go to bid.
But we have a general election, which you're gonna get more voters at in 2026.
The midterm.
Which is late, that would be November.
That would be November.
November 2026. So it might work nicely into that calendar. I just think that, it's again, if we're able to do 2 miles of the Quechee Road at zero cost to the taxpayers, I think that's a win
Yes.
for the town.
Yes.
But it's never zero cost, because
Yeah.
you'll need them to pay for something else.
I agree with you, Jim, on that one. Don't use that phrase. When we, just have other issues with our buildings.
We have a lot of, we have a lot of pressing needs. I don't disagree. The Quechee Road is kind of always floats to the top of the list, right? So here's an opportunity to make some substantive change on the Quechee Road.
Martin?
So Jim, we have 323,000 in reserve fund, and we also have a capital fund of 400,000. So we're not draining everything down to zero.
Right, but nothing's cheap.
No, it's not. Martin, as a taxpayer, likes this plan because the bond is for 15 to 20 years. This way, we're paying for it. Yes, it's going to hurt for a couple of years, but we don't have a debt on our tax bills for 20 years.
Especially if we're able to take essentially an additional $600,000 from 2 years of paving because of the work that we've done in the past couple of years. It puts us in good shape. Again, all of the paved roads, yes, there's going to be a need for, hot patch and crack sealing and things like that. But by the end of this summer, we anticipate having most of North Hartland repaved. The rest of the aprons that didn't get paved last year, I believe Station Road, bringing Sherry because she's here.
We did make a suggestion.
Right. So I think, the paving is on schedule.
I get where you're going, and I think it's the right thing to look at.
Yeah.
I think, we just need hard numbers.
Right,
and
so
hard plans.
Just run it up.
Right. Yeah, so I think, once we get the audit report, we can look at those, the audited balances. And I do think, bringing in the ARPA committee to the meeting would be beneficial.
And going
We don't
back
need
to
to,
something
but
that
helpful.
Tom said before, as we put together this plan, potential plan, I really do think we need to engage pathways again so that we are basically doing the best practices that are there and also addressing the needs of the report.
We get a good RFP.
Right.
It's very specific.
Exactly. And
Right down to materials and size of the stone.
Yeah, unit pricing.
Right, because we would want to also probably bring somebody on to do a quality assurance engineer for the actual construction project as well.
Yeah, it's complex.
Right.
There's no question about that.
Great.
Yeah.
Good idea, John.
So, and aside from that, I was joking with Cheyenne this morning when trying to write up the manager's notes that there's not a lot to say, and I think that's a positive thing because
Yeah, this
that means things are working well. The reappraisal agreement, thanks, Bill. So we have a reappraisal contract or agreement with NIMRIC. So as I mentioned when I sent out the packet, work will begin July 2028. It will take them through 2030 for completion. There's not much, I spoke with them about this. There's not much that can be done about that. They're continuing to bring on new people essentially weekly, that they're not going to be ready to go anytime soon. And there are many other towns ahead of us on the list.
Right.
So,
and John, on page 3, there's item 3, assistance from the town of Hartland. Just makes me realize that we have to be sure we're solidify our office of the assessor. Because right now I don't know what that plan is for the current incumbents, to how much longer they're planning on working and so on.
So I guess I'm confused about that statement. What's your?
Well, are we going to have a full staff in that office when this comes?
So the full staff is the part-time is Bob part-time.
Right, and I thought he has indicated that he was looking to step down.
No, he was looking to pull back from he was working more than part-time to get the grand list done.
Okay.
That's when Doug was also
staying out of any HR issues, but I want to make sure that we're in sync there.
Yes.
We have till 2028 to.
Oh, thanks.
Right. And so we'll move forward with this agreement with NIMRIC. There's plenty of money in the reappraisal fund to cover the costs. And again, we get an annual payment from the state of Vermont to rebuild that fund as it's going. So even at the completion of this, the fund will not be at zero. It will have had 5 years of payments coming back to the town. And it's $15,000.
Yep, 13 in the town, have been doing 15.
So we're putting in
15 in the
yeah.
town, and 13 in the state.
So $28,000 a year, every year goes into the reappraisal fund. So.
I have a question. In this, is it defined what the per parcel fee will be for reappraisal?
Yeah, there was something in.
There was another.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
You're welcome to look at the contract.
Okay, do you need signatures and a motion here?
So there'd be a motion to, technically, I don't believe we would need to, but I think as a formality, it would be beneficial to.
Yeah, we can do that. The only thing is we put this on the agenda to take action.
Yeah, because it's and we certainly have time.
Right.
When is the first payment due?
I just keep.
It's on this page.
July 20th.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, but first payment is July of 2028.
Okay.
So I think we have a little bit of time, but.
Yeah, so just put on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let them know.
We definitely want to lock them in.
Right, no, absolutely. We're on the list. We are on the list.
I know from experience in West Windsor, they did an excellent job over there. So,
Great.
but I do know from being a lister that there's a lot of paperwork when the field guy comes back in to
Right.
enter all the data. Hopefully not make a mistake and punch the wrong number.
Yeah. Good. Anything else, John?
No, that was it. Like I said, things have been operating pretty smoothly. It's been
I know it's not an agenda item, but we did talk about, and we met with Sunnymead about cutting trees at the cemetery.
At the cemetery.
Now things are drier. Do you want me to reach out to, but we need to get a couple of quotes. And they probably should do a site visit so they know what they're getting into as far as.
Weed Cemetery has a big pine tree in the middle of it.
It's the one we're talking about.
That is a mess.
Yeah, and we have some preliminary feedback from Daryl as well, that there's actually lots of space available in that cemetery. So
Okay.
we're making progress on the cemetery mapping as well. So.
But we should try to get that done by the fall.
Yep.
Could be mucho dinero.
hopefully before the tree falls.
Not on the agenda either, but would it be a bad idea to put some grave stakes in where you're gonna put the lights? Just spray paint them orange so we can all see where they're going exactly?
Sure. So we can do that.
Jay, just
I noticed some grade stakes, and I know where you might be able to pick some up if we slip out before the meeting ends and take some out of the truck.
Oh, you see it?
Yeah, I think why don't you just put a little spray paint, orange spray paint on it, and put them where you think they're gonna be.
Sure.
Exactly.
Sure, we can do that.
Just out of curiosity, any update from the crane company on the
There's
big
been
lift?
There's been no update. There's no official information. As soon as we have an actual date, we will send out information and make it widely available.
I think the whole town is not gonna go to work that day. I'm putting up a hot dog stand. I mean, whenever you go to like
Yes.
BG's or whatever, that's the question I get asked.
And the detours are going to be significant for that day.
Correct, and I think that's what is, they're working, I believe they have to work with V-Trans to get permits for all the detours as well. Yeah, it is not, it's just a point of clarity. It's not town business. We are not involved in the process. We are simply going to get notified when the date has been set.
I've tried to say that very clearly.
Just-
Okay, future agenda items, we have the North Hartland Covered Bridges Cemetery Committee. It sounds like there's some
There's
movement there.
movement there.
We need to get a private road policy down before we actually tackle the Lull Farm Lane. We've already talked about the Quechee Road this evening, and I added capital planning. I'm not sure, we need to get Brian back here and get that work wrapped up.
It's almost, and the NIMRIC contract, which we just talked about.
Okay, thank you.
And what are we doing about North Hartland School? I mean, I know it's just there.
It's just
Are we
there.
gonna try to take action at next town meeting?
I think it would be smart to have the conversation again. I mean, at this point, everything is off. We continue to pay to keep the power on nominally.
But I don't remember what we were asked to do in this
There was nothing.
year and ensuing
There
year.
was no takeaways.
There was no takeaways from town meeting. Essentially, we don't want to
Rush into it.
We don't want to sell the building. We want to keep the land. So,
Sherry?
Well, we were gonna test it for lead and asbestos before, because if it was gonna come down, you said that they needed to be tested before we.
If we decide.
If we took it down.
If we decide to do
Right.
it.
Because the committee did suggest, would like a pavilion there to use in the summertime,
Well, there were multiple suggestions in that report, and you're correct about the pavilion. But there was an, if we do something, then we needed to do, much like what's happening with the.
I don't think it's out of order to bring it up for another sale, because I think there was a lot of misinformation given at town meeting, or follow the leader type thing.
yeah, I think if we do it again at town meeting, it would have to be presented in a different manner to make sure that it's understood that, we're not necessarily selling the land as well.
Somebody behind you is agenda.
I have a public comment to make. I totally agree. I don't think it was clear to people that don't regularly attend the select board meetings or were a part of the committee that any of that kind of existed. I know, obviously, it's everybody's job to keep up with what's going on in town. But I think that was the thing, is you just kept hearing a lot of people saying, well, have you tried this? Well, why don't we try this? And you kind of have gone over all of this. So maybe a presentation saying, we have done everything. We've done all the work already.
Okay, good point, Sherry.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, is there any correspondence?
Nope.
Wow.
6:45.
And then, look at this.
On a nice day.
I'll check it here.
That's why.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.